So, Jermell Charlo and Brian Castaño battle to a 12-round split decision draw. How wrong was I? In the pre-fight video, I predicted that Charlo would smoke Castaño within the first 3 rounds. I personally felt that Charlo just outmatched Castaño in every department, and I wasn't particularly impressed by anything I'd seen from Castaño previously. My prediction of a stoppage by Charlo in the first 3 rounds almost came into fruition in round 2, but we'll get to that as I'm going to give my breakdown now of each individual round. So in round 1, I felt that Castaño came out showing a lot of improvement. His guard was more dynamic than I'd ever seen it before, and he was making a clear effort to make use of both hands. He'd take his head off the center line, left and right, and he was using right hand leads and left hand leads to gauge the reaction of Charlo, but also bridge the gap and try and manipulate Charlo, which I hadn't seen from him previously. So I thought that was good stuff. Nothing of note was landed by either man, but personally I just got the sense that Castaño was a bit more comfortable and he was able to keep Charlo moving along the ropes for the majority of the round. So on my scorecard, Castaño got the first round. Round 2, halfway through the round, this is where my prediction almost came true. Charlo caught Castaño with a clean left hook, which quite clearly buzzed him. Charlo tried to let rip, but Castaño's guard and powers of recovery just proved to be a bit too effective. And then there's more of the usual pattern to finish the fight. So I think that's where I went wrong. I underestimated the tight guard, but also Castaño's recovery, his ability to recover, because after a few seconds he was back at it and went on to have, I don't want to say success, but he got into his groove again at the end of that round. But of course, Charlo had landed the more effective and eye-catching punches, so second round to Charlo. Round 3, so in the final 10 seconds of the round, Castaño clocks Charlo twice with a big left hook. Castaño clearly wins this quiet round with that bit of success, so that was a round to Castaño. Round 4, Charlo seems to have recovered, but the sense I got was that he was a bit wary of Castaño's power after that. He was opting to employ a bit more mobility and he was jabbing a bit more frequently, probably trying to keep Castaño at bay. At this point, Castaño's guard was becoming a bit more static, and I think the success he had in the previous round made him a bit eager to land the big shots, and he kind of dispensed with any setup and technique. Castaño had a bit of success with the hooks, whereas Charlo was having a bit more success with the straight shots, but not enough for me to give it to either man. So I had round 4 even. Round 5, very few clean and meaningful punches landed by either man, but Castaño won that round for me just based on his effective ring generalship, in my opinion. So round 5 to Castaño. Round 6, Castaño was coming forward more and throwing more punches, but Charlo was going backwards but seemed to be landing cleaner. It was a tough round to score, so I had to give that one even. Round 7, 10-9 to Castaño, in my opinion. I didn't think that Charlo was being overwhelmed by anything, but he just seemed to be a step behind. He wasn't throwing as much as Castaño, he wasn't landing as much as Castaño. He just couldn't stamp his authority in any way, in my opinion. Round 8 was similar to round 7. Nothing major by either man again. So I can understand a 10-10 round for that one. But in from what I saw, I think Castaño just edged it for me, just about did enough. Round 9 was another close round. Seemed to be just punctuated by Castaño's shots. He was able to catch Charlo at the end of Charlo's punches. So as Charlo was bringing his hand back, Castaño kind of saw a pathway, and he was able to just maybe catch Charlo with an overhand right or a jab, and that was enough for me to give Castaño the round. Round 10, Castaño was buzzed by a left uppercut, and Charlo followed up with a right hand, and at this point Castaño was on his bike and he was looking unsteady on his legs. So this was a good round, a good boost of morale for Charlo. So a clear Charlo round 10. Round 11 was mostly quiet, but Charlo landed a couple of eye-catching shots, just about winning the round. It was quite strange because Castaño just kind of stuck his hands up and walked backwards into the ropes. And Charlo got some forward momentum, kind of flurrying, but he didn't really land that many of the punches, only 2 or 3 maybe. But because the round had been so quiet previously, I felt that was enough for Charlo to be awarded that round. Round 12, both guys, similar to the rest of the fight, to be honest, they were just falling short of landing their punches, or they were landing cuffing blows. There were a couple of clean-looking body shots from Castaño, and once again, because the round was so quiet, I had to give it to Castaño because those were the only eye-catching shots. So that was the fight in its entirety, each round, as I had it. When it comes to comparing my scorecard to the scorecards of the judges, Tim Cheatham, I believe his name is pronounced, he had it 114-114, a draw. I can understand that. You know, it really comes down to your interpretation of, especially the quiet rounds. What do you deem to be effective aggression or effective ring generalship? Steve Weisfeld had it 113-114 in favor of Castaño, so Castaño winning by 1 point. I can understand that. Personally, I had Castaño winning a bit wider, but I can still understand it because it comes down to your perception of what you see, especially when you consider that judges only sit at, well, the individual judge only has one view of the ring, whereas we have the best seat in the house when we're watching from home because we have loads of different angles. But then I say that to say this, because Nelson Vasquez had it 117-111 in favor of Charlo, which I just can't see that. I cannot see that at all. For my scorecard, I had 7 rounds to Castaño, 3 to Charlo, and then 2 even. So even if you gave Charlo the benefit of the doubt and gave him the 2 even rounds, he'd still be losing by 2 rounds because it'd be 7-5 to Castaño. So Nelson Vasquez, I don't know. I think, I don't want to say corruption because I think that's very strong, and I'm sure you can catch maybe some kind of lawsuit even through YouTube, but it's very fishy in my opinion. That one doesn't look good in my eyes. So yeah, it was a close fight. I had Castaño winning 7-3 and then the 2 even. This was a close fight between 2 evenly matched champions. I was more impressed by Castaño, but I think that's probably because I didn't have very high expectations from him initially. Whereas with Charlo, I know what Charlo's like. You know what you're getting with him. He's a good athlete, has some decent technique, seems to be improving, but he's not the most cerebral fighter. He doesn't have the greatest setups, and in these kind of fights, that's really what you need when you're in against someone who has or is improving as Castaño is, but maybe doesn't know how to maximize his technique and really articulate his offense. But for the most part, I was more impressed with Castaño purely because I feel like he improved a lot more going into this fight. Moving onwards, typically I'm not a fan of immediate rematches, but to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing this one run back, as I feel that a rematch would probably end more decisively. I feel also rationale for a rematch is that both guys would be more keen to take the immediate rematch because, of course, this fight is for the Undisputed title, and they wouldn't want to risk it all by having intermediate fights. They are rated as the number 1 and number 2 in the division, and is there any clamour to see them face anyone else? Personally, I don't think so. But of course, Charlo having 3 belts, Castaño having 1, you have to imagine that at some point there may be mandatory challenges coming up, but I'm sure there could be maybe some kind of exception by the sanctioning bodies, seeing as this is undisputed and doesn't happen very often. So yeah, that is my take on this fight. I've seen a lot of people saying that it was a robbery and Castaño was so hard done by. I have Castaño winning, but at the end of the day, you do have to take into consideration that the judges, they do only see the fight from one side as they're scoring it. Not to say that I agree with the Nelson Vasquez card, but benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that benefit of the doubt, and I think the whoever wants to win the next fight, I'm sure both guys do, but it's going to take some improvements because they were very evenly matched. And it was a good fight. It was a good, entertaining fight. Probably not a 5-star barn burner, but it was a good, entertaining fight, especially as I thought it would be a blowout. So, yeah, came close to getting a prediction right, but we were way off in the end. But it's all good. You know, it's all fun and games. Let me know your take on this fight in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.